welcome back adventurers to Let's Play Sentinels of the Multiverse. Last time, the Freedom 5 was successful in thwarting Baron Blade's plots to use his Terralunar Impulsion Beam in order to crash the moon into the Earth, destroying the world and basically intending to rule over what was left, which would essentially be ashes and ruins. But while the Freedom 5 are resting and recuperating from their ordeal, another villain has stepped into the scene. Her name is Citizen Dawn, and here's a synopsis of her backstory. Young Dawn Cohen was not like the other girls. She could draw power from natural light sources, allowing her to fly, project energy blasts, and even control the Aurora Borealis. Testing her powers, she found them nearly limitless. She lost her patience for normals and spent decades seeking solitude. Yet solitude was not her destiny. She was approached by other superhumans who had heard of her power and thought her a potentially great leader. Dawn turned all of them away, but their words rang true. She was the most powerful individual in the world. Why should she seek isolation? She sent out word. Those strongest than their fellow man need no longer hide. Citizen Dawn called all such citizens of the sun to her side. Together, they could be as gods among men and equals only to each other. So, Citizen Dawn is the leader of the Citizens of the Sun, who are essentially the Brotherhood of Mutants, essentially from Marvel's X-Men, although they are actually quite different in many respects. As you can see, Citizen Dawn has a difficulty level of 3, meaning that she is quite a bit difficult compared to the likes of Baron Blade. Dawn citizens aren't necessarily minions like Blade's battalion, for example, those bunch of goons that often serve him. The citizens themselves are genuine allies of Dawn, and they can be quite difficult, as we will see in the video. Interestingly enough, the refuge that Citizen Dawn has made the lair and base of operations for the Citizens of the Sun is in fact Insula Primalis, the very location which we fought Baron Blade in, which is probably why Citizen Dawn has now emerged to terrorize the world because of what we did to Baron Blade. Location that she has chosen as a target is the city of Nicklopolis, which is the environment that we will be fighting in, because Citizen Dawn has deemed it so. Now, the Freedom 5 will not be participating in this battle. Instead, 4 other heroes will be answering the call and working together in order to try and thwart the plans of Citizen Dawn. The first hero is he who is known as the Mighty Ra, God of the Sun. A complexity level 1 hero, and there's his original card design from the original core set. He has a fairly interesting backstory. Dr. Blake Washington Jr. was one of the best archaeologists in the world. Finding a previously undisclosed tomb in Egypt should have been merely another point on an already impressive resume. However, all his findings were surpassed when he found a secret chamber within the pyramid. Eluding traps and solving ancient puzzles, he eventually discovered the pyramid's true purpose. It was the final resting place of a generation of heroes, all of whom had fought under the guise of Ra, the mighty god of the sun. Feeling himself drawn to a wooden staff within the chamber. He drew it from the ground and was overwhelmed as the secrets of the universe flooded his mind and body. No longer a mere man, he was now next to Ra. Sealing the chamber to hide its secret yet again, Ra stepped forth to combat the forces of evil. Ra essentially uses fire because he is the god of the sun, and a perfect foil to Citizen Dawn. Though, as you'll notice, the two of them didn't mean to do that. As you'll notice, the two of them don't necessarily share the same Nemesis icon. They're more kind of rivals and foils rather than actual Nemesis, if anything. The second hero who will be accompanying Ra is the one known as Fanatic. 6-year-old Helena was hit by a bus in the streets of Lima, Peru. By all rights, she should not have even survived the ambulance ride. More miraculously still, after being declared dead in the hospital for exactly 3 minutes, she sat up, speaking of heavenly visions and a divine mission. With no known family or memories from before the accident, Helena was placed in the care of a local convent at her own request. Puberty brought an unusual change for her. Giant white feathery wings sprang forth from her back. When she dramatically revealed her transformation during Mass, she was driven from the convent. Taking refuge in hidden catacombs under Lima, she stumbled upon an ancient reliquary. Here she donned the armor of a Templar, taking up the sword to launch a holy crusade to purge the world of evil. There's her original artwork. Fanatic is a very interesting hero. She's kind of a divine martyr, as we will see in this video. Excuse me. Apologies again. The third hero joining them is another of my favorite heroes in this game, the Savage Haka. Here's a fun backstory, kind of. The fearsome Ata Wakarewara was the chief of his tribe, or Hapu. For many years... No, let me read that first part again, because I am a lot of trouble saying it. The fearsome Aka Wakarewara was chief of his tribe, or Hapu, for many years. One fateful day, his facial tattoos mysteriously vanished, which the Hapu believed was a sign of the god's displeasure. Ata's right-hand man, Ruru, stepped up to challenge him. He outwitted Ata in battle and dealt him a killing blow. Ruru set to the throat of the larger man and left Ata's remains to the dogs. However, at dawn, Ata reappeared at the edge of the village, calling for the new chief to come and face him. Killing Ruru in battle, Ata was shocked to see that rather than honor his victory, his people cursed him, stripping him of his name. Exiled, he spent decades wandering and fighting, growing stronger with each wound. He took the name Haka after the Maori war dance. Now he fights for redemption, carrying his people's traditions proudly. Interestingly enough, Haka actually hails from Rotorua in the North Island of New Zealand, which is, again, I love the fact that Sentinel Comics decided to have a Maori warrior as a superhero in a comic book game, which is incredibly fantastic. As for the final member to join this motley crew of heroes is the one who calls herself the Visionary. She actually has in my opinion, one of the more interesting backstories to any superhero that I've ever seen in a comic book universe. Striving to gain the upper hand in this new Cold War, the US military began secretly bioengineering Psi soldiers. As part of Project Cocoon, Compound Psi-200 was developed and injected into human fetuses. After a series of failures, the project was shut down, leaving Vanessa Long as its sole survivor. Raised in a human underground government compound and trained as a human weapon, she exhibited extraordinary psychic powers at an early age. After the failure of her mission and the collapse of the United States, Vanessa harnessed the full extent of her abilities, transporting herself back in time 17 years. However, the process was not without a heavy toll. With time running out and a little extra psychic baggage, Vanessa assumed the identity of the Visionary, fighting to prevent her future and save herself. A little elaboration, the psychic baggage in question is actually the manifestation of another Visionary, one who has made radically different choices from the Visionary that you now see before you, which occupies a corner of her psyche. She is using her powers to stop the internal bleeding in her brain so that she doesn't hemorrhage to death, and she does still have her abilities and her powers at her disposal. So that's the team of superheroes going up against Citizen Dawn, Ra, Fanatic, Harker, and the Visionary, and they'll be fighting in the city of Megalopolis. Who will be the victor? Only time will tell. Meanwhile, Ra and Dawn exchange some more comic book banter. Ra is clearly not amused at this pretender who would claim to wield the powers of the mighty Ra. Now, before we begin the game, shall have a look at Citizen Dawn's rules. At the beginning of the game, she gets to reveal 3 citizens from her deck. That's H-1, which in this case will be 4-1, which is 3. So she gets 3 citizens at the start of the game. If at the start of her turn, if there are 5 or more citizens in her trash, Dawn flips. She may only flip this way once per game. At the end of her turn, Citizen Dawn deals the hero with the highest health 2 energy damage. If Dawn gets angry at so many citizens being killed at once, she will merge with the power of the sun and essentially be an equal to what Ra is at the height of his powers. When she is merged with the power of the sun, Dawn is immune to damage, and at the end of her turn she gets to play the top card of her deck once again. However, if there are 3 or more citizens in play, she will no longer be merged with the power of the sun and will return to normal, and she can only merge with the power of the sun once per game. So first up is Citizen Spring, which heals she heals every citizen at the end of her turn. Citizen Anvil, who is really annoying because not only does he shield other citizens, he also revives his good friend Citizen Hammer. And next is Citizen Tears. I'll show you her rules soon enough. Luminous Leadership at the start of her turn, she heals everyone. Everyone's at max health, so Citizen Spring doesn't heal anyone. Citizen Hammer is not in Dawn's trash, so he doesn't get revived, which is good for us. Citizen Tears now forces us to discard a card. If Citizen Sweat is in play, each player discards one more card. If Citizen Blood is in play, Tears deals each hero melee damage equal to the number of cards discarded. So that if Blood and Sweat were in play, Tears would essentially be causing discard 2, hit everyone for 2. This is a running theme in Citizen Dawn's deck. There are a lot of Citizens of the Sun which chain off each other, like for example Citizens Anvil and Hammer. We'll be seeing Hammer somewhat soon in this fight, hopefully, either hopefully or not so hopefully. Forgive me, bit of a sore throat at the moment. My cold hasn't entirely gone. If Citizen Sweat and Blood are in play, they actually get their own abilities into play, which will chain with Citizen Tears. But for right now, we need to discard a card. So we're going to be starting with 3 cards in our hands instead of 4 when it gets to our turn. Ra starts off with Blazing Tornado, 2 copies of Excavation, and his signature weapon, the Staff of Ra, which is very useful. Ra can get rid of one of his excavations. Fnatic has Brutal Censure, Chastise, Final Dive, and Smite the Transgressor. She's going to get rid of Chastise because that's not really that useful at this point. Ra's Haka, meanwhile, has 2 copies of Haka of Restoration, which is useful in healing him, as you can see. And he has 2 copies of his facial tattoos Tamoko, which reduce damage dealt to him by 1. This is a limited card, so he can get rid of one of those. Visionary starts off with Foresight, 2 copies of Mental Divergence, which is very useful, and Twist the Ether, which is another useful card. Dawn can get rid of Mental Divergence. And that is the end of Citizen Dawn's turn. Luminous Leadership heals everyone at the start of Dawn's turn. You may actually notice that there are shorthand symbols in play on the kind of mini cards on the screen. For example, start of turn, it heals, end of turn. The Citizen Anvil is the one that we will have to deal damage to first because he reduces damage to citizens by 1, including Dawn herself. So we want to deal with him as soon as possible. Ra will now wield his Mighty Staff, which whenever it enters play, Ra heals for 3, and it increases all damage by Ra by 1. We can throw it at a target to deal 3 projectile damage, which will essentially destroy the Staff of Ra. But Ra's innate power of fire deals 1 target 2 fire damage, which we want to hurl at Citizen Anvil as much as possible. There are other more annoying citizens. Fire Blast. That will come in handy quite well. And that was Ra's turn. There are more annoying citizens who will serve Citizen Dawn that are very annoying. Let's see. Do we want to use Brutal Censure or Smite the Transgressor? Final Dive is good for getting rid of two targets with 4 or less health. Unfortunately, everyone doesn't really have 4 health, but actually use this against Citizen Anvil to draw a card, instead of using an additional power, because she doesn't have another card which allows her to use a different power. Because the way that this works, even though it says you may use an additional power this turn, which means you can use 2 powers, you can't, it doesn't allow her to use her power of Exorcism, which deals 1 target, 1 melee damage and 1 radiant damage, which is annoying. Well, she drew her signature armor, Aegis of Resurrection, which restores her back to 10 whenever she gets incapacitated, which is kind of useful. Unfortunately, Exorcism only deals, this damage is 1 melee damage and 1 radiant damage, which won't be useful because of Citizen Anvil, so we won't use her power this time. Zealous Offense, which when we get Haka's turn, we'll actually go back and have a better look at it. At the start of your turn, select up to 2 non-character targets. They cannot deal damage until the start of their next turn. If you haven't dealt at least 3 damage this turn, at the end of your turn, Zealous Offense is destroyed. Haka's pretty full on health at the moment, so Haka of Restoration isn't going to be that useful, so I think Tomoko will be a good move on his part. Haka is basically a tank, much like Bunker. He does a lot of melee damage most of the time, so he's going to punch Anvil for 1, dropping him to 3, and he draws a Enduring Intercession, which is useful in redirecting environment damage to Haka if the other heroes have much less health than they do right now. Excuse me once again. Foresight allows Visionary to look at the top 3 cards of her deck, put 1 in her hand, 1 on the at the top of the deck and 1 at the bottom. Mental Divergence is useful in getting rid of ongoing cards or getting hero ongoing cards back from the trash. And Twisty Ether, this gets placed to a target, including Dawn, since it doesn't say next to a non-character target. Whenever that target would deal damage, the damage changes to a type and is either reduced by 1 or increased by 1. This can actually be played to hero targets as well and increase their damage by 1, or villain targets to reduce damage dealt to them by 1. We don't want to use that right now, so we might throw out the mental divergence just in case, but the Visionary's inner power is Enlighten, which allows one player to draw 2 cards and discard 1 card, which she is going to use on herself in this first turn. She draws a Mind Spike, which is does melee damage, and Suggestion, which is basically manipulating the trash of the deck. Put 1 card from the villain trash on top and 1 on the bottom. Since Dawn doesn't have any cards in her trash, this is actually good if we want to keep Dawn from merging with the power of the sun, but right now it's not very useful since there aren't any cards. And here's another trash manipulation card. If we want to keep Dawn from merging with the power of the sun. Unfortunately, Visionary will deal damage to herself. And there's an impending casualty. At the start of the environment turn, we may destroy one of our ongoing cards. If we don't, we get 3 psychic damage. At the end of the environment turn, one player may discard a card. Well, we're gonna have to discard cards from Citizen Tiers anyway, so I'll throw out Zealous Offense. Zealous Offense, not Offense. It's completely different. And Anvil heals for 1. Everyone else is already at maximum health. And there's Citizen Dare. Increases damage dealt to hero targets by 1, which is annoying. Anvil gets healed again because of Citizen Spring. He's now back up to 5. Everyone has to discard a card. Ra can get rid of his other excavation. Get rid of Smite the Transgressor. Harkonnen loses Harker of Restoration, and Visionary can actually get rid of her Foresight for now, because she actually does have multiple copies of all his cards. The way that Citizen Dare works is that his citizen companion, his fellow, is Citizen Truth. When Citizen Truth enters play, Dare deals each hero 1 irreducible psychic damage and destroys himself. Citizen Dare cannot be one of the initial citizens at the start of the game, which is rather interesting. Citizen Truth, on the other hand, is actually even more annoying than Citizen Anvil, because Citizen Truth actually, not only does he have personal damage reduction to himself, but he also renders every other citizen immune to damage. So he chains quite well with Citizen Anvil, which is not good for us. Could use Fire Blast to get rid of Citizen Anvil, which I think we will, because we can deal enough damage to get rid of him. So goodbye, Citizen Anvil. Hope we never have to see you again, although we might. And we actually want to deal damage. We could get rid of Citizen Dare, but we really want to deal damage against Citizen Tiers, because we don't want to keep discarding cards. And on Fnatic's turn, we can actually get rid of 2 birds with 1 stone with Final Dive. By getting rid of Citizen Dare, we can get rid of Citizen Tiers. So Dawn now has 3 citizens in her trash right now. She only needs 2 more, and she'll get angry and merge with the Power of the Sun. I think Fnatic is going to go after Citizen Dawn. Because she's like that. She wants to deal as much damage as she possibly can. A lot of her powers include martyring herself, dealing damage to herself in order to deal damage to her enemies. Might as well show off the Hark of Restoration. Each Harker card allows Harker to draw 2 cards and then discard 1 more, discard 1 or more cards this way. If he does this, he gets various abilities. Harker of Restoration heals Harker for every card discarded this way. He has 2 other Harker cards. Harker of Battle which increases damage dealt by him by 1 for each card discarded, and Haka of Shielding, which reduces damage dealt to him not by 1 but by 2 for every card discarded this way. But Haka doesn't really have, he's not hurt too badly, so he can afford to get rid of a couple cards. Punish the Weak, which is only useful in dealing with really weak non-hero minion targets, which allows him to deal them more damage, but if he attacks more stronger targets, that damage gets reduced by 1 instead. So we'll get rid of that and one of the Enduring Intercessions. And we'll keep the other one in our hand, so Haka heals for 2. Meanwhile, Haka will... We could have actually used Punish the Weak to deal an extra 1 point of damage to Citizen Spring, but we're not that bad right now. And there's the Haka of Battle, which, as you saw briefly there, has the opening to the famously infamous Kamate Haka that you might have seen from the All Blacks at the beginning of the game. Twisty Ether isn't really that useful because Dawn doesn't have some of her more damage dealing fellows in play, so Visionary is going to use her Mind Spike on Dawn, as you can actually see on the in the character flavor of this card. I actually used Mental Diversions to get rid of Dawn's Luminous Leadership, because we don't want Citizen Spring healing for 2 and other citizens healing for 2. There's Cerebral Hemorrhage, which is useful for dealing with multiple targets. Deals 3 targets 2 psychic damage. Unfortunately, we have a hostage situation on our hands. This is one of the more annoying cards in Megalopolis. There are 2 others that I will explain after this turn. Although, it appears that Dawn apparently feels the same way, unleashing a devastating Aurora which destroys all hero ongoing cards, all equipment cards, and all environment cards. This is actually a pretty brutal, very brutal card, because it clears the board, basically. But hostage situation, hero cards cannot be played. At the start of the environment turn, each player may discard 1 card each to destroy this card. The other 2 cards which are annoying are Traffic Pile Up, which prevents heroes from drawing cards, and another one which is Paparazzi on the Scene, in which heroes cannot use powers, and the only way, one of the ways to get rid of it is the same way as Hostage Situation. Everyone has to discard a card at the beginning of Megalopolis' turn. Interestingly enough, 2 of the Steam achievements actually relate to Hostage Situation and Paparazzi on the Scene. For example, Extreme Hostage Situation, you have to win the game by not playing any cards whatsoever. So by essentially you have to use the hero's innate powers in order to beat the villain, which is an almost impossible task. Likewise with Paparazzi on the Scene, you unlock that achievement by not using powers. But unfortunately, the Staff of Ra is going to go because of Devastating Aurora, which we don't really mind at the moment. So all our ongoing and equipment cards have been destroyed, but Hostage Situation has been dealt with, which means we won't be locked down and not being able to play cards. So Dawn actually did us a kind of a favor there. Got Flame Barrier, which whenever Ra gets dealt damage, Ra will hit that target back with 2 fire damage. Blazing Tornado, which Ra hits one target for 3 fire damage, which we're going to use against Dawn here. I suppose we could get rid of Citizen Spring as well, even though she's only a minor hindrance. She's not actually one of the more annoying citizens. That would be Citizen Truth, is the most annoying citizen. Hopefully we don't run into him. Having said that, of course we're probably going to run into him. Suppose we can bring Citizen Spring down to 2. And there's another Holy Nova. We'll use Haka of Battle, just so Haka can get some extra cards. Vitality Surge, Haka regains 2 health and draws a card. And Mere, one of Haka's multi-weapons, deals the target 2 melee damage like Cross, but allows Haka to draw a card. Can get rid of the other Intercession and increase Haka's damage by 1, so now when he uses Crush, he's going to be dealing 3 damage instead of 2. Sorry, Citizen Spring. You're probably one of the nicest citizens, but actually don't want you healing anybody else anytime soon either. Dawn now has 4 citizens in her trash. We could actually keep her from doing this, of course. Visionary will end up dealing herself 6 damage. Probably a waste, but we are going to hit Dawn with Cerebral Hemorrhage for 2 psychic damage. Of course, as you can see in the background, the wonderful streets of Megalopolis, and there is actually the symbol of the Freedom 5 in the background there, which is a very nice touch. And I actually like the music of Megalopolis. As to who is going to receive enlightenment, it will of course be the Sun God. So he draws Flame Spike, which deals 1 target 1 fire damage, allows him to use an extra power, and Fletcher the Sun God, which renders Ra immune to fire, and for 1 turn he can actually make every other hero immune to fire as well. I actually want to get rid of the Flame Spike. I want to keep Living Conflagration, because that allows Ra to draw more cards. And Visionary has Psychic Maelstrom, which is kind of like Cerebral Hemorrhage, except that instead of hitting 3 targets, it hits every non-hero target. But now we're in Cramped Quarters Combat, which all damage is changed to melee, and everyone's damage is increased by 1. Healing Light. So basically Dawn gets 10 health back, so she's now back at full health. That also heals every citizen in play back to full health as well. There aren't any at the moment, so that's good. At the start of the environment turn, Cramped Quarters Combat is destroyed. So we're going to use Living Conflagration to deal 3 melee damage instead of 2 fire damage. basically we want to deal as much damage to Citizen Dawn before she flips, though we can let her flip once, though she actually has to have other 3 or more citizens in play for her to return to normal. And everyone heals, or Haka heals, for one, and instead of dealing 2 damage, we're now going to be dealing 4 with Fanatic, which is very good. And another brutal censure. Haku is going to use his patented elbow smash to deal 4 melee damage. Haku is really enjoying this, enjoying the thrill of combat, of a worthy fight on his hands. This is actually quite a good card for Haka. It's kind of like ammo drop for Haka, except it has to do with environment cards instead of hero cards. Psychic Maelstrom against Dawn, and Visionary is going to enlighten Fanatic this time. Divine Focus, she discards a card, she deals 2 radiant damage, and Sanctifying Strike. Start of this turn, Fanatic may deal herself 4 fire damage. If she doesn't take damage this way, Divine Focus is destroyed. So this is one of her many martyring cards. And Sanctifying Strike deals 1 melee damage, draws a card, and heals for 1. We actually don't want Divine Focus right about now because we don't want Fanatic to be martyring herself just yet. And there's another suggestion. CQC is destroyed. And there's a Plummeting Monorail, which deals the 2 targets with the highest health 5 melee damage each, which in this case is Dawn and either Ra or Haka at the start of the environment's next turn. And there's Citizen Summer, which is going to hit the 2 heroes with the most cards and play 2 melee damage, or 2 fire damage, sorry. Or is that, no, that was 3 fire damage. Haka can take it, he's got plenty of health, as does Ra. Summer's also not the worst citizen at Dawn's disposal. She actually would actually chain quite well with Absolute Zero's Isothermic Transducer, as well as Citizen Hammer as well. Where I was going to use his Flame Barrier just in case Summer tries it again. And actually we want to focus all our efforts on getting rid of Citizen Dawn, because if Citizen Summer goes to the trash at the beginning of Dawn's next turn, she will flip. So Fanatic is going to launch a Sanctifying Strike against Dawn in order to draw a card and heal for 1. Very nice. End of Days, which is a basically think of Wrath of God from Magic the Gathering. At the start of the environment turn, destroy all cards in play except this card, character cards, and relics. Then destroy this card. So relics such as Ra's signature staff will actually remain in play. Of course, there are villains that also have relics, which won't be destroyed by End of Days. This is Fanatic's best card in my opinion. and when put to good use it can clear the board quite well. However, we'll just keep it in hand just in case. So Fnatic uses her divine powers once again, and nets herself another brutal censure. They'll throw out a vitality surge. Ah, excellent. Here is Haka's signature weapon, the mighty Taiaha, a traditional Māori club that in this case allows Haka to hit 2 targets for 3 melee damage each. It is a very good weapon for Haka. But for now he's just going to punch Dawn for 2, dropping her below 50 health. And a second Dominion, which is will come in handy. Actually gonna throw out the Twisty Ether for Citizen Summer, just to show you what that does, which we're just going to be using it to reduce damage by 1 and not increasing it. Though as I said, that would actually help Absolute Zero's strategy. I think the Visionary needs more cards than anything else. Visionary is more of a support hero than anything, although she just drew a decoy projection, which will be very good in redirecting damage from herself. And there's a Rest of Mind, which redirects damage from one target to another, but Visionary deals herself and the said target 3 psychic damage. And at the beginning of the environment turn, both Dawn and Fnatic both get hit by a plummeting monorail. Targeting Innocence. At the start of the environment turn, deals 3 fire damage, and when it's destroyed, it gets to play Impending Casualty from its trash and speak of the devil himself. Speak of the one citizen we did not want to see on the board right now. Dawn is actually going to change the damage and reduce the damage by 1. And Flame Barrier does nothing because of Citizen Truth, his shielding of other citizens, which is very annoying. There's actually a another achievement related to Twist the Ether that has you deal as much damage of each element type, damage type as much as possible. But anyway, back to Citizen Truth. Villain targets other than Truth are immune to damage. Reduce damage dealt to Citizen Truth by 1. When Citizen Dare enters play, Truth hits the hero with the highest health 3 melee damage and kills himself. So Truth and Dare are basically competing against each other, and they will kill each other, but Truth is a far more annoying villain than his companion Citizen Dare. Might as well make Ra immune to fire in this case, and we want to well, we have no other choice. We need to get rid of Citizen Truth, and which will ultimately mean that Dawn will be merging with the power of the sun. If only we had another final dive ready. Another Aegis of Resurrection, we did not need that. Fanatic's power is useless because of Truth's 1 damage reduction. Smite the Transgressor. Useful, but not useful. Gonna throw out Taiaha and hit Citizen Truth for 2. Fortunately, can't hit any other citizens for any type of damage. So Haka instead is going to hit targeting Innocence for 3. Because he's Haka and he can do that stuff. Punish the Weak, which will actually increase damage to Citizen Truth. Might actually be a good idea to throw out Prophetic Vision. Visionary does have another card called Precognition, which does the same thing except it manipulates the villain deck. So let's see what the future holds. You have a police backup, which actually is useful to the heroes because the police, while they aren't very fond of costumed vigilantes, they know a villain when they see one, and they will try to keep law and order in Megalopolis. We also have Rooftop Combat, which increases all damage dealt by 1, and other environment cards get destroyed and cannot be played. When heroes deal non-hero character cards 10 or more damage in a single round, from the hero's turn, from the villain turn, all the way through to the environment turn, Rooftop Combat gets destroyed, and there's another Cramped Quarters Combat. We want Police Backup on the top of the deck and Rooftop Combat on the bottom of the deck. And Visionary is going to try and enlighten Fanatic. Prayer of Desperation, which isn't that useful, and another End of Days. Prayer of Desperation, draw until you have 6 cards in your hand, immediately end your turn. This is not useful. So that didn't really work out the way I hoped it would, but then who can truly control the future? And now it's Megalopolis' turn, and Dawn and Haka. Well, Dawn won't get hit by the train because of Citizen Truth. So Haka is the only one that's taking damage. Boo! And everyone but Rad takes 3 fire damage from targeting Innocence. And there's Impending Casualty. Which is going to hit us. Ryan Visionary. I have to get rid of an ongoing card. Let's see. Ra can actually get rid of Living Conflagration. Visionary has Twisted the Ether. Actually, she might get rid of that, because everyone's gonna get hit anyway. And there's Police Backup, which will won't do any damage, and we can get rid of our cards. Actually, we'll get rid of one of the Aegis of Resurrections, because we already have one in our hand. And the police do nothing because of Citizen Truth. Boo to you, sir. Very much boo to you, sir. Ah, and everyone heals again. Thanks to Healing Light. Truth goes back up to 7. Which makes this very annoying. Probably should have played End of Days to get rid of a whole lot of things, but might have to in this case. Although, actually we might use Imbued Fire, which increases the fire damage by 1 and changes everyone's damage to fire. So we can actually try and get rid of Citizen Truth once and for all. Drawn to the Flame is useless because Dawn doesn't have any ongoings at the moment. We use Brutal Censure against Citizen Truth, just so that Fnatic can draw a card. Hopefully it's a useful one, and it is Absolution. When it enters play, Fnatic gets 1 health, and it gets to deal 3 fire, melee, or radiant damage. And I think Fnatic can actually get rid of Citizen Truth now, with fire and more fire. So Citizen Truth is dead. She drew a Consecrating Ground, which is good for getting rid of ongoing or environment cards. Harker's going to throw out a Dominion. Harker's actually taking quite a bit of damage. Harker's actually going to hit Targeting Innocence, and then he's going to hit Citizen Dawn. Could have gotten rid of Citizen Summer, but I'm going to try and do as much damage as we can, and we don't want to get rid of Summer just yet. Could either play Rest the Mind, Rest the Mind would actually go very well on Citizen Summer, because every time she hits, so she deals 2 heroes, she damages 2 heroes. So Rest the Mind is actually pretty good right now. And we actually want to enlighten Harker now. He has another Dominion and a Rampage, which is kind of useful, kind of not so useful. But this card is actually pretty useful. Savage Mana. Whenever Harker destroys a target, he may put that card beneath this card, and the way that works is essentially similar to Bunker's Omnicannon card, except this card deals toxic damage instead of sonic or energy damage. We'll get rid of a Dominion card, even though I know that you can have 2 of them out, so every time a environment card gets destroyed, both of them activate, but that's okay. So Ra and Dawn are both going to get hit by a train, but Ra strikes back. Harker's actually not looking too well. Probably should have made everyone immune to fire damage. That ain't good. Isn't going to do anything. Harker can get rid of Dominion. Oh, probably not a good idea. Actually, Actually, no, we'll undo that. I don't like to undo too often, but everyone's going to be taking damage. So everyone takes damage. And everyone gets hit by targeting innocents. And everyone gets hit by impending casualty. Hasn't actually been a good game so far, and there's another hostage situation, which is very annoying. Very annoying indeed. Fnatic can get rid of one of her end of days because she only needs one in her hand. Haga draws another Taiha. And now it's Dawn's turn, and she gets to merge with the power of the sun, as we see here now. Oh, and there's Citizen Sweat, who destroys ongoing cards. And channeling Eclipse. Dawn deals herself 2 damage, but she gets to play a card at the start of her turn. And it looks like Haga is almost bite the dust. Actually no, we can, there's Citizen Sweat, destroys a hero ongoing card. If Tears was still in play, she would destroy all ongoing cards controlled by that hero. And if Citizen Blood was in play, she would deal damage equal to every ongoing card being destroyed. Actually, we want to get rid of the targeting innocents, so that Haga can draw a card, which is another Taiha. And Summer kills herself, unfortunately. Thinking, probably get rid of Dominion, which is unfortunate. We need 2 more citizens in play for Dawn to return. So we're actually going to bide our time. Oh. There's Scorched Earth, which is like Drawn to the Flame, except it works with environment cards instead. But we can't play any cards because of hostage situation at the moment. So everyone's gonna draw 2 cards for now, which is very annoying. Although Haga can actually hit Citizen Sweat and the monorail, try and do some damage. Because Dawn's blazing like a supernova at the moment. Ground Pound. Not a particularly useful card. Non-heroes don't deal any damage, but have to discard cards to use it, and it basically is going to get destroyed anyway, so it's not very useful. See if Fnatic can draw something useful. Divine Sacrifice and Wrathful Retribution. This is a good card. She has to discard 3 cards, but if she does, she deals 1 target X radiant damage, where X is her maximum health, minus her current health. She wants to play this when she is really weak, because then she'll be dealing a lot of damage. And she will get rid of her Divine Sacrifice. So now everyone has to discard a card in order to get rid of hostage situation. And Ra is going to take some more damage, unfortunately. Stupid train. Ra will now incinerate it for its insolence. Everyone must discard a card. Yes, everyone is going to discard a card. Ra's going to get rid of Flame Spike. Actually no, hold on. Don't want to get rid of Flame Spike, because Flame Spike would actually be more useful in using an additional power. So the train dies again, everyone discards a card, and Ra's going to get rid of Drawn to the Flame. It's a pile of uselessness at the moment. Prayer of Desperation is also useless for Fnatic. So is Ground Pound. And Visionary can get rid of Mental Divergence. Goodbye Hostage Situation. And an Impending Casualty that Haka can get rid of by discarding one of his cards, which he's going to do right now. He can get rid of Punish the Weak. So, Impending Casualty has been destroyed. Now it is Dawn's turn. Return of the Dawn. Or Return with the Dawn, I should say. Basically, she gets to play a citizen card from her trash. And she also plays, well, first she plays Citizen Autumn, gracing us with her appearance. And Citizen Assault, who's going to hit everyone for, not to mention the fact that, Sweat is gonna deal damage. We'll get rid of Flesh to the Sun God. And there's Citizen Tears, which chains with Citizen Sweat, which is annoying. Citizen Assault hits everyone for 1 melee damage. He gets a damage increase if Citizen Battery is in play. That's what you get for punching Ra when he's got a flame barrier up. Oh, and we have to discard a card. Oh, we have to discard 2 cards. Boo! Boo! Might as well discard Scorched Earth, which will just get rid of Police Backup, unfortunately. Divine Focus. Haka will get rid of one of his Taihas. And Visionary will get rid of Foresight. This is looking pretty grim, adventurers. Flesh of the Sun God. Don't want to get rid of Conflagration, Consecrated Ground, but I guess I don't really have much of a choice. Hako can get rid of Mid-Air, and I suppose that Visionary can get rid of Mind Spike or Brain Burn. Screw it, Brain Burn. Well, fortunately at the beginning of Dawn's turn, she's no longer going to be merged with the power of the sun. I'm going to get the staff back in the hand. Solar Flare increases fire damage dealt by Ra by 2, but he has to deal himself 4 psychic damage at the end of his turn, or else Solar Flare is destroyed. But Ra can hopefully get rid of goodbye, Citizen Tears. Stay gone. Though we don't want to destroy any more citizens in play just there. And now, Drawn to the Flame will actually be considered somewhat useful, because Dawn has 2 ongoing cards, Channel the Eclipse and Return with the Dawn. Also throw out Absolution, which will heal for 1, but she gets to deal extra damage. So she'll deal 4 damage to Citizen Autumn. So hopefully, if we survive the next round, we can deal quite a bit of damage. And Haka's going to throw out a Dominion and not hit anyone. I suppose he could have actually drawn 2 cards, but oh, Haka is shielding. Wish it were a Haka of Restoration, but oh well. And Visionary is going to throw out Decoy Projection just in case, and actually is going to enlighten Haka just so that he can get more options like Vitality Surge, which is good, and Elbow Smash. Haka is going to get rid of his others, Ha-Ha, because he already has one, he doesn't need another. But actually another Twisty Ether would actually be very good right about now. Yeah, depending on how the cards fall, these games can take at least from 30 minutes to over an hour. And let's see, I think Fnatic can discard her Sanctifying Strike to get rid of Impending Casualty, which nets Haka another Haka of Shielding. Excellent. Dawn merged with the sun for as long as she could, returns to her normal form. Oh, and here's Citizen Citizen Blood. And unanimous leadership. Decoy Projection takes the hit. Dominion. Blood is in play, which means she deals him 1 damage. Dawn now gets hit with Channel the Eclipse. Oh, Citizen Dare. I almost thought it was Citizen Truth there for a moment. That would have been terrible. That would pretty much be game over if Citizen Truth had was on the board right about now. And Citizen Blood. At the end of the villain turn, he deals hero with the lowest health 1 melee damage. If Switten is in play, he deals everyone 1 melee damage, so it doesn't really matter. Oh, and he gets damage bonus from Citizen Dare, god damn it. Oh, which means Haka is gone. Not enough. Not enough. Oh no, Haka's still in the game. Haka's still... Oh, that was brutal. That was very brutal, but it could have been much worse if... 3 ongoing cards, so this hits everyone for 3. And he gets damage bonus. Drawn to the Flame it is. because we need to hit everyone. We need to hit everybody now. As much damage as we can possibly do. 5 damage, I'll take it. Hit everyone for 5 fire damage. Get rid of everybody. Because Dawn won't flip again, because she's already merged with the power of the sun once already. And Ra draws another flame barrier. We survive the next round. Dawn's next turn will throw out the actually Fnatic can actually deal 21 damage, and she has enough cards to get rid of for Wrathful Retribution. For a whopping 22 damage. We might win this. It could be close, it could be very close, but I'm actually gonna say that we might win this. Fire, because it's gonna be fire damage anyway. It's actually been quite tough, and there's Sacrosanct Martyr, which allows herself to hit herself for up to 5 damage and hit anyone else for that amount of damage. It's probably not a good idea to throw out the Rampage right about now, so he's gonna hit with Elbow Shot. Oh, it's so close. Oh, it's so close, but I think we've done it. I think we've barely managed to stop Citizen Dawn here, and it's the Visionary's turn, and she has a Mind Spike in her hand. Excellent. No more Dawn. I've had enough. I've had enough indeed. We've actually faced the worst that Citizen Dawn has to offer, and have emerged triumphant. Citizen Dawn has been defeated by the Visionary. That was actually a very, very harrowing fight, adventurers. We faced the very best and the very worst of Citizen Dawn, but ultimately we have emerged victorious. So I'll see you all in the next video. Please like and favorite this video, and don't forget to check the notifications bell icon, just so you know when I've uploaded a video or two. As always, I am the Dungeon Master. Until next we meet, adventurers.